everyone, it's me, Ash, here in the flesh to deliver some celebratory ramblings about film characters comprised entirely of computer magic. Or am I really here in the flesh, eh? Oh, come on, editor, have some fun. Could be a Force ghost, could be a CGI creation of what culture's own imagination. Who knows? I hope it looks good. Anyway, here in 2019, the film industry is finally at a point where the technology and tools on offer are able to legitimately bring any possible visual to life. With almost 50 years of blood, sweat and tears poured into making CGI as badass as possible. While some computer effects can still be a bit janky, there have long been creations that never fail to wow audiences, pulling us in with incredible craftsmanship and attention to detail. When done right, a CGI character in particular is the peak of the art, feeling just as natural as anyone else on screen to the point that you forget that they're not actually real. People, animals, and everything in between, made up of pixels on screen, have resulted in some of the most jaw-dropping spectacles in the history of cinema, and some of the most well-fleshed out characters in the whole dang film medium too. So let's take a look at the cream of the crop, shall we? I am the special effects rendition of Ash from What Culture, and these are the 10 best CGI movie characters ever. 10. Smaug, or Smaug, however you want to say it. The Hobbit trilogy. A Benedict Cumberbatch voiced dragon, you say? As soon as the casting of the Sherlock star was made public, Peter Jackson's Hobbit trilogy was already on to a winner. From rearing his weary head at the conclusion of an unexpected journey to sinisterly stalking Thorin and his dwarves in The Desolation of Smaug, to then being killed off in the Battle of the Five Armies, the poor guy, Smaug was a revelation. With Weta's flawless design and execution combined with Cumberbatch's marvellous delivery and motion capture work, Smaug instantly became one of the very best parts of the entire Hobbit series of movies. While Smaug conjured up a sense of utter dread every single time he was on screen, there was a unique charm to this fire-breathing fella too. So impressive was this CGI beast, some fans were even clamouring to see Smaug take centre stage in his very own movie somewhere down the line. That is yet to happen, of course, but it could well prove to be another huge hit for Peter Jackson should such a film ever come to be. And also, we'd all very much enjoy seeing Smaug again. He's a very good character, that's why he's on the list. 9. Rocket Raccoon, Marvel Cinematic Universe. To be honest, there are so many great CGI characters within the Marvel Cinematic Universe that you could likely fill out this whole video with those people alone, but let's start small instead. Quite literally. Voiced by Bradley Cooper and with motion capture from Sean Gunn, Rocket has gone on to become a staple of pop culture these days. This, of course, being a character that even some comic book die-hard fans hadn't even given a second thought to until James Gunn brought the Guardians of the Galaxy to his big screen fruition. Up until Rocket's appearance, the most well-known raccoon out there was likely Bert. Ask your parents, kids. Yet the appearances of Rocket in the MCU have given a huge boost in popularity to these thieving little furballs. In Rocket Raccoon, film fans have found a character full of humour, heart, and hand grenades. And when it comes down to it, Rocket is one of those fascinating creations who always captures your imagination and attention when he is in action. And just makes you want to ruffle his little furry head, as much as he probably would really hate that. 8. The Shark, The Shallows. The majority of the characters featured in this article have some sort of human element behind them, be that a vocal performance or motion capture work. Yet, this nameless beastie manages to hold its own with no such fallbacks. What makes the shark from The Shallows so notable is that it was a CGI character that legit had people wondering how on earth the production had managed to get a real shark to perform in the picture. Logic dictated that the creature had to be a CGI creation, yet the big old monster genuinely looked like a living, breathing shark as it stalked poor Blake Lively. The Shallows was a small, intimate film that was headed up by two performances, which was Lively and her circling CGI foe. And key to maintaining the tension and menace of the picture was making sure that the shark looked good and was utilised in the right way. Luckily for fans of ridiculous shark movies though, The Shallows absolutely knocked it out of the park. As did the lovely shark. Well done, shark. 7. Davy Jones, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. First appearing in the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie, Dead Man's Chest, Davy Jones managed to do what all great CGI characters should do. He had you second guessing whether or not this really was a computer-generated being. At first glance, many would presume that Bill Nighy's Davy Jones was a creation of practical effects and prosthetics, since there is that sense of physical realism to Davy that has you thinking of classics such as The Thing and Alien, with not even the slightest whiff of shoddy SFX to the whole character. You have to remember that this is a movie that was released back in 2006, which was a time when CGI was still finding its feet and often churning out some truly horrendous sights. But to the credit of those involved in Dead Man's Chest, Davy Jones looks just as breathtakingly brilliant today as the character did 13 years ago, which really is impressive. Industrial Light and Magic was rightly awarded an Academy Award in 2006 for its work on Dead Man's Chest, and a large part of that recognition was down to the sheer brilliance of what the company had done with this tentacle-faced terror. Fair play. 6. The Na'vi, Avatar. Regardless of the retrospective thought process on Avatar, which would be paper-thin plot, Sam Worthington briefly going A-list, and isn't it just Pocahontas with more blue, it is impossible to deny the impact that James Cameron's 2009 movie has had on the entire film industry. It's easy to knock the picture now, sure, but it cannot be understated just how game-changing Avatar was. After the failed 80s attempt at delivering 3D films, Avatar finally gave audiences extra dimension to their viewing experience. With its world of Pandora and the Na'vi race, the film delivered creatures and landscapes that took CGI and SFX to an entirely different level of jaw-dropping. What Cameron and his team did was a monumental achievement in film, although it is still questionable whether Cameron really needs to have 4 Avatar sequels booked in for upcoming releases. I'm sure he knows what he's doing by now though, I'm sure. 5. The T-1000, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It is absolutely crazy to think that Terminator 2 is a movie that is 28 years old. Even now, though, the film is viewed as one of the greatest sequels in history, and Robert Patrick's T-1000 is regarded as a sheer masterpiece of SFX wizardry. The use of CGI in T2 was completely revolutionary, and the shape-shifting liquid fluidity of Patrick's T-1000 had audiences losing their minds as to what they were seeing. This was one of those movies, like The Thing, like Tron, and like Total Recall, where it was genuinely hard for audiences to fully fathom what they were seeing. And as for the T-1000 itself, it also helped that the character was an unrelenting, sinister killing machine that was simply functional for the solo purpose of taking out Sarah Connor and her son John. Patrick was at his menacing best when he was gooping about, and it's fair to say that he completely stole the film each and every time he'd turn up with evil intentions. And that is quite the statement when you consider Arnold Schwarzenegger was the hottest movie star on the whole planet back then. 4. Hulk, Marvel Cinematic Universe. After several modern-day attempts to bring the Green Goliath to big screen life, it looked as if comic book fans were destined to never see a proper take on the Hulk realised on the silver screen. Ang Lee's Hulk, while slow-built and nuanced, needed a major injection of smashing. And then there was Louis Leterrier's The Incredible Hulk, which was a solid popcorn movie yet had an awful villain and was maybe a little too reliant on the smashing. Upon Bruce Banner's gargantuan alter ego being brought to life in the Avengers though, finally we had the perfect balance of subtle and smash. And just as important as the characteristics of the Worldbreaker, this incarnation of the Hulk was a visual delight. And just as important as the characteristics of the Worldbreaker, this incarnation of Hulk was a visual delight. With Mark Ruffalo's face incorporated into the character alongside motion capture work, this CGI creation looked as if it had been pulled directly from the pages of Marvel Comics, and actually born from Ruffalo himself. And since then, the character and the visual detail of Hulk has gone from strength to strength with each MCU appearance. Good old Professor Hulk was the only natural conclusion we could have reached, really. 3. Gollum, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. There are those rare moments in cinema where every few years something completely changes the game, and the history of film is never quite the same again. Particularly when it comes to the SFX work on display in a movie. And with Gollum, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies gave audiences a visual marvel of a character, the likes of which they have never seen before. Once Jackson decided to adapt J.R.R. Tolkien's famed source material, any sort of Lord of the Rings movie was going to fall completely flat if Gollum wasn't delivered in a spectacular way. Luckily for Jackson, and for longtime fans of Middle-earth, Andy Serkis and Waiter delivered a tour de force of a character. Not only breathtaking as CGI, Gollum is an all-time great movie character. Full stop. Love him or hate him, Gollum is an example of how well CGI can be used to bring iconic characters to life in a way that feels never less than genuine and organic. Forget that pesky ring. The real precious here is Andy Serkis and the Waiter team behind Gollum's creation. 2. Thanos, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not only does Thanos look insanely good from a visual standpoint, the uber villain looking as lifelike as anything ever committed to film, but the overarching big bad of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's first decade is also a prime example of how stories are often best when they're allowed to breathe. Slowly but surely, with each passing year, fans were drip-fed sprinklings of Thanos here and there before the character finally stepped forward to cause all kinds of game-changing carnage in Avengers Infinity War in 2018. Josh Brolin was the man mocapping and lending his vocals to Thanos, and the mixture of Brolin's portrayal and groundbreaking CGI has given fans a rogue who will go down as one of the greatest villains in history. For his turns as the Mad Titan brought so expertly to life in tandem with SFX, Brolin has often been suggested as an Academy Award nominee, something which the Academy has refused to recognise just yet. Maybe a retroactive one. Maybe they'll give him that. I don't know, they might. 1. Caesar, Planet of the Apes trilogy. After Tim Burton's 2001 Planet of the Apes remake, did anybody want to see another new spin on the legendary Planet of the Apes franchise? Hell no. When it was announced that 20th Century Fox was giving the famed Apes series a do-over in 2011, many broke out in a cold sweat at the thought. Fortunately though, this new trilogy of Apes efforts was absolutely phenomenal, and key to that of course was the character of Caesar. Mocapped again by the brilliant Andy Serkis, Caesar's 3-movie arc was emotional, intense, and delivered with a poignancy rarely seen by any other CGI character in the history of cinema. Forget those worries of Fox monkeying around unnecessarily with a beloved property. Instead, with Rise, Dawn, and War, fans were treated to some stunning new additions to the Planet of the Apes franchise. There's even a very valid argument to be made that all 3 of these recent pictures are amongst the top 5 ape films in the franchise's long-running history. And key to all this success? That would be the jaw-dropping achievement of Caesar himself. Truly, the king of the monkey business. And that's our list. Honourable mention has to go to Dobby, King Kong, and probably every Pixar movie ever, but there's only room for 10, so let us know what CGI character is your favourite in the comments section below. I've been Ash, and this has been What Culture. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and sacrifice your firstborn child to the What Culture overlords for the good of the channel. Thanks for watching.